Welcome back, focused learners. Today we are diving into the incredibly dark, massive lore drops and the thrilling dual narrative of Resident Evil Requiem. I mean, think about it. After 28 years, Capcom has finally taken us back to the ruins of where it all literally began. They've delivered an absolute survival horror masterpiece that beautifully ties together decades of storytelling. So, get comfortable, because we're going to break down everything you need to know about the characters, the horrors, and the massive twists waiting at the end of this journey. To help you navigate all of this, we're structuring this explainer as a descent into the abyss across 5 parts. First, we'll look at the Faces of the Requiem, followed by the escape from Rhodes Hill, then our return to Raccoon City, uncovering the truth about Elpis, and finally, the final legacy. All right, let's jump right into Part 1, Faces of the Requiem. So the core dynamic of this game completely relies on 2 vastly different perspectives. On one hand, you have Grace Ashcroft, voiced by Angela Santalbano. She's a total newcomer to the series, an FBI analyst who gets thrust into this terrifying investigation into her mother's murder from 8 years ago. Playing as her brings back that grounded, limited inventory psychological terror that classic survival horror fans just absolutely love. But then on the other side, we have our seasoned veteran, Leon S. Kennedy, voiced once again by the great Nick Apostolides. Leon is in his late 40s now, and while he brings those action-heavy survival skills we expect, he is incredibly vulnerable this time around. Why? Because he's battling a mysterious, deadly infection. And really, we have to give a quick shout-out to the phenomenal voice cast, who breathe life and, well, a whole lot of death into this eerie world. We get the incredible return of Alyssa Ashcroft from the Outbreak series, voiced by Jane Perry. Anthony Byrne delivers a completely chilling performance as our main antagonist, Dr. Victor Gideon. Eden Regal is back as an older Sherry Birkin, who acts as Leon's mission coordinator. Craig Bernatowski voices the very mysterious, very Wesker-like Zeno, and James Clyde even pops in as the infamous Oswald E. Spencer. Moving on to Part 2, Escape from Rhodes Hill. Okay, so here is the crucial ticking clock driving our veteran characters. Before they even step foot into the main facility, we find out that both Leon and Sherry Birkin are slowly dying from a brand new condition. It's called Raccoon City Syndrome. Imagine surviving Raccoon City only to find out 28 years later that a latent residual T-virus infection has been hiding in your body this whole time, slowly mutating and canceling out your antibodies. They are literally racing against their own biology to find a cure. And the first 5 chapters of gameplay perfectly map out this relentless descent. You start off in Chapter 1 at the super spooky Wrenwood Hotel, which is the exact peak Gothic location where Grace's mother was murdered. From there, Grace is kidnapped and wakes up in Chapter 2 inside the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center. Chapters 3 and 4, they are pure classic Resident Evil. You've got Grace solving the moon, sun, and star quartz puzzle, all while dodging twisted basement experiments, including this hulking, light-sensitive monstrosity known simply as the Girl. It all culminates in Chapter 5 with a chaotic helipad escape and a really cool sniper support sequence where Leon and Grace finally cross paths. Down in the depths of Rhodes Hill, we meet the primary antagonist, Victor Gideon, and he drops this chilling line on Leon. Gideon is a former Umbrella researcher who actually bought the care center just to conduct these horrific therapeutic experiments. He figured out that repeated mutations of the T-virus could let subjects retain their memories. The result, hyper-aggressive mutants called blisterheads and patients who literally couldn't stop eating, like that terrifying boss Chunk. And the wildest part? Gideon justifies all this suffering in the name of what he calls human evolution. Which brings us to Part 3, Return to Raccoon City. Chronologically, Chapters 6 and 7 hit you right in the nostalgia. I mean, Leon rides a motorcycle straight into the nuked crater of Raccoon City, getting into an insane high-speed jousting match with Gideon. This brings Leon right back to the iconic Raccoon City Police Department. Here, he's forced to deal with traumatic flashbacks, a massive tyrant, and a heavily mutated plant BOW from the old Umbrella Nest facility. Meanwhile, Grace is descending into the ruins of the Raccoon City orphanage, uncovering some incredibly dark secrets about her own identity. This is where the lore gets incredibly deep. We discover that Gideon and Zeno, who, by the way, acts and fights remarkably like Albert Wesker, are working for an organization called The Connections. Now, if you're a lore-focused learner, you'll immediately recognize them as the shadow group behind the mold in Resident Evil 7. It turns out, the Connections actually orchestrated the downfall of Umbrella and infiltrated the US government to hide their tracks. They sent their forces to Raccoon City because they are desperately hunting for a legendary mind-control bioweapon they believe is buried deep underground. That leads us right into part 4, the truth about Elpis. Prepare yourself for a massive, honestly heartbreaking twist. We finally learn why the villains are so obsessed with Grace. The Connections firmly believed that Oswald E. Spencer had mastered memory transfer through blood, and they thought Grace was the original genetic vessel holding the password to his ultimate creation. Based entirely on this flawed assumption, they created a whole cloning project, subjecting young girls like Emily and Marie to unspeakable experiments beneath the orphanage. But the truth? The real kicker? Grace is actually just an ordinary orphan. There was absolutely no genetic destiny in her blood. And because of that flawed assumption, the bioweapon everyone has been killing each other over isn't a weapon at all. Zeno and the Connections are totally convinced Elpis is the ultimate mind control virus, but when they finally unlock it, we discover Elpis is actually an antiviral cure. It's specifically designed to neutralize all progenitor-derived viruses. This completely shatters the villains' plans for global anarchy because it renders their multi-million-dollar bioweapons completely useless. Talk about a game changer. We find this out through a hidden video file recorded by Grace's mother, Alyssa, showing a very rare moment of remorse from Oswald E. Spencer himself. Realizing that you can't build true happiness on the suffering of others, Spencer created this cure to atone for a lifetime of atrocities. He adopted an ordinary baby girl, Grace, to be a living symbol of that atonement. He named his final creation Elpis after the Greek goddess of hope, wanting it to be a requiem for all those whose lives he had destroyed. And finally, Part 5, the final legacy. Chapter 8 is just a breathless climax deep inside the underground ARC facility. Leon is in the absolute end stages of Raccoon City syndrome, barely hanging on while fighting off lickers and elite soldiers. Just as Zeno is about to execute Leon, Grace uses the password HOPE to unlock the Elpis containment device. She injects Leon, instantly curing him. Zeno, suddenly realizing his powers have been neutralized, is killed by Gideon. Then, Gideon, who had secretly implanted a Nemesis gamma parasite inside himself, mutates into this massive, terrifying final boss. And Leon? Well, he gets to put Umbrella's last skeleton in the dirt once and for all. But, as always with this explainer, we can't leave you without a provocative question to chew on. In the post-credit scene, as the government swoops in for a cover-up and Grace adopts the surviving clone, Emily, we see 2 elite soldiers in the destroyed ARC facility. They explicitly mention retrieving an objective before Chris Redfield's rogue BSAA wolves show up. So, what exactly did the BSAA retrieve from the ashes of Raccoon City, and how is it going to shape the future of this universe? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, Focus Learners. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.